Okay guys, what we got here is a 97 Volvo. It has a slipping, non-shifting transmission, and I'm going to show you how you can fix that. And the fix won't be what you may think. In fact, we're not even going to touch the transmission. And better yet, it won't cost you anything, just a little bit of your time. Of course, it won't work unless you hit that subscribe button. So go ahead and smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, leave comments. Well, let's get to it. Okay, so the tools required to fix your transmission will be a 20 and 25 Torx screwdriver or something equivalent, a Phillips head screwdriver, slotted screwdriver, and an extendable magnet. The magnet's there to, well, get any screws you lose or to hold on the screw as you're removing it so you don't lose it. You will also need a soldering iron, gas, electric, whatever you have, whatever you can borrow. Doesn't matter. As well as you might need some solder to go along with it. You might need to add some to a joint or connection that needs some. So let's go ahead and let's get this fixed. Okay guys, I don't know if you're seeing that. I'm up here, check engine light is on. And try to shade that, you can see that. So now I just started it up. I'm going to go for a drive. So guys, speedometer not working. I am moving. Let's see what happens if I give this a little whack. Sometimes that triggers it to do something. If this is kind of what your Volvo is doing, you have in the dash a gauge cluster. You're gonna have to solder and fix. You'll have to look and see. You might see it disconnected. I believe they're just all right behind the speedometer. You have a speed sensor in the rear end that senses your speed, obviously. That says the signal up to your speedometer, but your speedometer has its own signal that it sends to your ECM there, and then that controls your shifting and everything, and it's just not it's not working. Oh, look at that. Oh, there's a check engine light. Why do I have a coolant light on? Now that's not blinking anymore. Of course. Right when I get the scanner out. Yeah, it's later on in the day. And I still have a check engine light on. So it's still an issue, but the speedometer's working and it's shifting gears again. It's because electronics, the board, because it was cold this morning because we had rain and temperature cooled down, it contracted, and so therefore the contacts separated. Now that it's warm and it expanded back, contacts are contacting, and therefore speedometer is working, so it's sensing speed and sending that signal to shift the transmission. So another confirmation that that is what it is again. But there's issues Volvo has. If you replaced your speed sensor in the back, or you're questioning about changing the speed sensor, because the speed sensor is actually expensive, and the availability of them, well, depending on what your model of Volvo is, can be hard to find. So you might be having this issue here, in which case, yeah, that's the fix. I don't know why car manufacturers, I don't know why they do the things they do. Cheap out on components or build quality. But now I know at least that that's the issue. Okay guys, time to come. I gotta pull this cluster out now. I gotta fix that circuit board that's in back of it. I'll show you how to pull this out and what I solder in the back there. But time to come out. I'm just noticing my mileage. What's the chances of that? Pretty good, eh? Anyways, okay guys, let's get started. Okay, we got these here. And this unit just pulls out. There we go. Then we can disconnect the lines back here. There you go. Then get screws down here I gotta take out. And then I got screws, you can see them there. I gotta pull those out. That's on the gauge cluster. Okay, after getting these screws undone, it starts to come out. Then you got these clips inside of here. You just pry that out while pulling on this center console, pulling it out while prying that out, and this thing will just come right out. Maybe that'll work, we'll see. Here we go. You can see that is out. Adjusted my steering wheel down, so that wasn't hard. I just had to pull on it, but you can see, maybe you can see, it's a little plastic clip that catches, and you just got to pull on it. Maybe get a screwdriver in there if you're having troubles and push down on it to release it, but mine popped out. So the Torx is a 25. That's what I'm using. So I ended up undoing this climate control just to wiggle it down to give me a little bit more space for there. I don't think it really needed to come out, but we'll see. Okay, so when you look, sorry for that glare, you gotta tilt the vent away and you'll find some Torx screws hiding above there. This one is missing because this has been out before I even got it. So I gotta undo that one, and on this one as well. This other side has one. So, and it's a 20. So this other side, you can just pry it out. It just clipped in. That way you can get to this screw. As for here, I don't see any other screws. So just this one left. That'll be a 25. actually just tilted this down. This, you can get this out. This is very tight, squeaking it past here. You gotta pry up the bottom to lift it over this edge, and then just kind of work it and worm it back and out. It takes a little bit, but it'll come. So now we kind of get to take this out. Yeah, Torx. Okay, I'm just getting this thing pulled out. There's going to be some wires you got to disconnect in the back. We'll just disconnect them as we go here because they're not that long. This is impossible, almost with one hand. There's one. Get those other ones. Don't have that seen inside there, but that's what it looks like. So there you go. You can probably see some of the little burnt spots. Basically, you're going to go around and you're going to resolder these. I resoldered them, just touching down with a hot solder to liquefy it, restick it. And then on these screws, these contacts, I unscrewed them and then made sure that the contacts are nice and clean. Plus, if you have any burnt bulbs, then now is the time to replace them. You just twist and then clip, and you got this tiny little bulb that you replace. And you put it in, twist it, now it's back in. So, any burnt out warning lights or anything, right, that's for your gauges, tack speedos, etc. Now is the time to replace them. And you got this one wire here that disconnects further in, so I'm going to pry up on that and pull that connection apart. Okay guys, it's out. I'm going to go bring it inside. Another thing you want to do is to clean these contacts. These little metal bars, they contact on that. You want to make sure all that is clean. There's no corrosion. We're going to solder that up. I'm going to unscrew, screw, just to make sure these contacts are contacting. I'll just use this little baby screwdriver and scratch around the contacts to make sure everything's nice and clean and no corrosion on it. I'll clean all those up. You see how quick it came out. It's a fairly simple job, really. I wouldn't be afraid of doing it. Just take your time so you don't break anything. But we'll see when I go put it back in if I break anything myself. You can use whatever soldering torch you have. If you have to borrow one, buy one. Electric. This one happens to be gas. That's what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. It's a good quality one. I've got to see what I have for a tip on there. There, I even have the fine tip goes to a point. That's what I want. These broader ones, they put out more heat, which is good if you're doing something a little bigger. I'm going to try to control my heat because this is plastic and that melts. So I don't want the plastic to melt and get that mixed in with the solder, because then you won't get a proper connection. And that might be part of the issue for this, is that fact that maybe from factory they just struggled with getting that connection. And maybe if I desoldered it all and super cleaned everything, which you can do, and then soldered it again, and be careful to not overheat anything so this plastic smokes up and then you get that contaminating your solder joint. But that could be why it fails after a while. The contamination, maybe it starts to corrode, maybe the heating and cooling, expansion, contraction causes that to break free and separates. I'm guessing. I don't know. We're going to go ahead and we're going to solder these. I won't show all of it. I'll show some of it just so you guys get the idea. And then, yeah, we'll get it thrown back in and hopefully it'll work. We'll see. One thing I'm going to recommend, use magnifying glass. It just makes everything so much better. I don't know what that camera is able to pick up or not. But maybe you can see those joints just a little clearer. See how dark they are around there. As you can see, those connections you can't tell because I didn't get them hot enough to burn anything, just enough to melt that lead. So there you go. Just got my torch heating up. Now this does have a control for how hot you get it. Feeds you more or less gas. I usually have it cranked up so we get up to temperature and then I turn it down to where I need it to be. If you're seeing that, basically I'm melting the lead so we get a nice little puddle of lead. And making sure that it sticks to the contact that's poking out. Now, I have a little exit port there on the side of my tip. That's where all the hot gases come flying out, so we don't want to have that turned down into the board at all. We want to angle that away from everything so we don't burn anything. I went ahead and I took that bezel off. So you got screws along this top edge. And you have two screws, got one here located at that 7 and then the 16 connection, and they are a broader head screw. They don't have a washer or anything on them, so take those off, and then that front face, this pulls off. You can see those connections down there that we're soldering on this side. Here's the speedo out. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws we got to undo to remove it, and it just comes off. And there's the back side. Now this is what I remember a hard circuit board soldering. That's why it kind of confused me when I seen that. It's been a couple years though since I've done this. I don't know if the camera's able to pick it up. You can see where these have been soldered. A few of these have been soldered. I don't know if I soldered everything on this board or just some of these immediate ones that I could see that looked a little questionable. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resolder those. Now this little motor to run, I think your odometer there. It's a little bushing there. You could put a drop of oil if you're extremely careful on there to help that out. Okay, so what I did, as you can see, got this front face cover, this bezel, and I just sat this speedo in there. That way I can get to this and solder this without damaging the needle for the speedo or anything else. I don't want to be touching or moving any of that. I just want to concentrate on resoldering these connections and hopefully have it fixed. It worked last time. I'm hoping it's going to work this time again. So we'll see how long it can go before my camera dies. But hopefully it's picking up enough and you're seeing enough and gathering enough information from all this to make sense of it all. Got my magnifying glass. Got my soldering iron. So let's get soldering. And let's start on this side. Sometimes having a hotter tip, being able to put more heat to it, can be a benefit because you can hit it and heat it up really fast. That way you're not sitting on it for a long time, heating up everything. Just adding some solder to it. So I'm just starting to put this back together. I'm using the bezel here to set everything into, so I can finish screwing this up. Okay guys, back in the car. Got this unit put back together. I'm going to go ahead and scrape those contacts quickly, and then we'll get this installed and we'll see if any of this worked. We'll just go ahead and erase codes. Says code has been erased. Engine light's still on. Oh, now it's off. Now it's off. Okay. Well, maybe we're getting somewhere. So I don't know how this camera's working or what it's picking up, or I had to swap cameras because my other one battery died. This one's the glitchy camera that
I don't know. It resets itself to whatever. I don't know if it's recording at the right definition, what the frame rate is, what anything is. I set it and then it resets itself. So we'll see how much of this is actually usable. Well, at least I was able to erase the engine code while the light went off. I've done it before and the light still stayed on, so that's slightly promising. We'll go for a little drive. Sorry it didn't catch me throwing everything back together. Once again, I was using this camera, recorded a few seconds of what I wanted to record, and then the camera just shut down, wouldn't turn back on. I had to, when I had time, pull the battery out and reset it all. So sorry about that. You've seen how it kind of came out, just reverse order. So we'll see. This guy doesn't drive right in front of me. It's a good thing there was somebody coming the other direction, because he was only looking in that other direction. Drivers of them, am I right? So we're going for a little drive, a little test drive. It's working right now. The test will be if it continues to work, and if okay, I gotta reset that. There we go. I had to reset my tripometer. It's kind of stuck in the middle there. I must have bumped it when I was soldering up everything, so I gotta be careful. Yeah, it's working now. So go for a little drive. The test will be when everything cools down and the board's able to contract, and then we'll see if it's still contacting and working. It's still working good. I have no codes, there's no engine light coming up, so I'm thinking we got it. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Keep your stick on the ice.